All right, we're good. Aria, thanks for doing this. I was trying to listen to your talk, but I was also selling coffee at the same time. We moved our operation down here so we could try to at least experience some of the talks. Um, but so I know you were part of the Crypto 6, right? Is that
That's
what it's
correct.
being called? Can you give a quick explanation of that?
Yeah, the Crypto Six are six individuals, six libertarians, anarchist voluntarists in New Hampshire who were raided and arrested by the FBI on March the 16th for, quote, operating an unlicensed money transmitting business. Essentially, what they're charging us with is helping people get cryptocurrency.
What was the business? What were you guys doing? That it was basically allowing people to exchange for crypto, or what was the
I
what?
have no comment.
Okay, not the right questions, not the right time.
Right.
Okay. Um. So what is the current situation? What's
The current situation is that we are awaiting trial. It's currently set for May of 2022, so next May, but it's likely to get pushed back to October of next year. And we're just, preparing our defense and waiting to see what the prosecutors are going to throw at us.
and in general, what will your defense be based on? What's the
We haven't really gotten that far in discussing it because there's like 100,000 pages of discovery, which basically means evidence that the federal government intends to use against us. So, I mean, it's a lot to go through, and we have to pick it apart and be like, okay, well, this is our defense against that, this is our defense against this. So, we haven't really gotten to that point.
do you think this is just kind of
But
the
essentially, I mean, religious freedom is the overarching theme here because we strongly believe in defunding the war machine, and cryptocurrency is the best way we've ever seen of doing that. That's the reason we support cryptocurrency, is so that we can defund the war machine.
and what's the religious freedom argument?
That our religion involves defunding the war machine.
Okay. How about freedom of speech arguments, code speech, things. Are those some arguments you align with as well?
Absolutely. I don't think they're going to be much use to us in a federal court, but they are arguments that I support ideologically. They just aren't defense arguments that we plan to make. Maybe they will be made. I mean, it's hard to say. I don't know what the other five are talking with their attorneys about, but the code of speech argument is not something I'm looking into for my defense.
Do you think this is just kind of the tip of the iceberg in terms of the federal government clamping down on crypto?
Oh, absolutely. And as someone asked, why isn't there more media coverage about this in the cryptocurrency world? And it's because this is happening elsewhere. We're just the ones who have the talk show and who have the accessibility to the Porcupine Freedom Festival to get out there and talk about it, but we're not the only ones this is happening to. It's going to continue like this until they ultimately set up Coinbase, Kraken, Gemini, and these evil exchanges as the gatekeepers of cryptocurrency and force everyone to go through them to get crypto.
Yeah, I remember a few years ago, even I think it was people you were using local Bitcoin, and some people had gotten arrested in Florida.
Yeah, they have always been arresting people who use local bitcoins. They usually get them for money laundering or drug trafficking or something like that. You meet up with someone who's actually an FBI agent. They say, "Oh yeah, I'm buying this Bitcoin, but this money that I'm giving you, it came from selling heroin or whatever." And it doesn't matter that it didn't. That it's just an FBI agent lying to you. They still hit you with money laundering.
Right. It's basically setting people up.
Yes, exactly. That's often what they've done in the past. They appear to be changing tactics now. Of course, they are hitting Ian Freeman with the money laundering charge, but that's one out of the 21 charges that are stacked against the six of us, with probably more charges coming.
Yeah. Well, what we do here is because we sell coffee here, for cash or Monero, but I also offer change in Monero. So I had a gentleman here today who wanted to get his hands on some Monero. He had $100 bill. He wanted a coffee anyway, and I gave him his change in Monero.
That is awesome. I'm thrilled to see Monero representation here. Last year, I was actually the only person here using Monero to make purchases, and now we've got people here who love Monero as much as I do. Monero is definitely the best of the cryptocurrency options as far as I can tell. I mean, it's the one that I'm behind 1,000%.
Same here, man. Same here. So you want to tell us more as to my audience always hears why I'm 100% Monero, but what's your reasoning and your logic?
Well, shielded transactions are the default with Monero. It has all of these competitors like Zcash and Horizon, but none of those, and even Hush, which I actually know the developers behind it, shielded transactions aren't the default. Bitcoin's biggest flaw is is also its biggest strength, the whole public ledger thing, but that allows anyone who has access to your public keys to see exactly what crypto has been sent in there, what crypto has been sent out. And you don't need to make that information available to anyone, much less the federal government, who's going to use it to do shit like, I don't know if I can say that, but sorry, who kick in our doors and arrest us.
Right. And we're starting to it's no longer hypotheticals. We're starting to actually see the Bitcoin flaw in effect and being used against the network.
Exactly. I mean, they can blacklist Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin addresses and Bitcoin that came out of certain addresses, and they've done that in the past. With Bitcoin, every bit of it is traced back to the Genesis block or another block. They can find out exactly what the origins of that coin are, and if they want to blacklist it, they can do that, and they are doing that. And that makes it useless to anyone. With Monero, that's not possible.
100% agree. So this is my first time at Porcfest. I've heard about it for years, never made it up here. I'm so glad I did. We're having an amazing time. My daughter's having a blast. She made $100 yesterday selling things, doing things for people.
Awesome.
Pure market capitalism around here. But what I was most curious about when I came up here was, are people into Monero, right? Because I feel like this group of people should align very well with Monero, and I'm pleased to find that it seems to be blossoming here.
It certainly is. Like I said, last year I was the only one using Monero, but I didn't come across any vendor who was like, no, I don't want to take Monero. In fact, it was quite the opposite. Oh, you're doing Monero? Yes, let's do this right now. And now it seems that we have more people spending Monero. Mark Edgington, who co-hosts the show with me, Free Talk Live, he bought some sort of zombie dart gun that was 3D printed with Monero. So just thrilled to see Monero taking off here.
Is it growing in the New Hampshire scene in general? Obviously at Porcfest, but I don't really know New Hampshire on the day-to-day. Is it as crypto as people say it is?
It is, but I feel like the AnyPay company that payment processor that people were using to make Bitcoin or cryptocurrency transactions has sort of held us back in that regard because it didn't support Monero, so you couldn't just go to the brick and mortar restaurant and use Monero. They had to pull out their private wallet to do that. But now, with the AnyPay people no longer really in the equation, they're having to open up their private wallets anyway, which already support Monero, and they don't care which cryptocurrency we're giving them, as long as we're paying the bill. So I hope to see in the near future Monero becoming more ubiquitous in New Hampshire, but at the moment it hasn't been, simply because the AnyPay protocol didn't support it.
What would be your advice to the Monero community, particularly, let's say, the more noobish of the Monero community, what they can do to help grow Monero and ensure its success?
The number one thing you can do is just go to any business that you've frequent regularly, establish a friendship with them, and ask them if they are interested in taking cryptocurrency. You might want to lead with Bitcoin because that's the one they've all heard about. But ultimately, just keep pitching them that. And this is how we did it in Keene, which has more crypto accepting businesses per capita than anywhere else in the world. We just talked to business owners, hey, will you accept cryptocurrency? And it takes a while. It takes about a year to get each business owner on board with it. But after that, it doesn't really matter to them what cryptocurrency they're taking, because they're taking it.
Now, so you're a crypto marine, right? You're literally on the front lines. I feel like here you're getting the backlash that some people anticipated was going to happen. From your vantage point, where do you see this all going, particularly in the U.S.? What do you think the crypto scene is going to be like in terms of government, and regulation? Where are we headed?
Well, the government's slow. It took them a very long time to adapt to the existence of Bitcoin. I mean, by the time they're starting to adapt to the existence of Bitcoin, cryptocurrency has already moved on to Monero and Hush and Zcash and all of these other privacy coins that are distinctly different from Bitcoin. So they're very slow, but they don't have to be fast if they can take control of the cryptocurrency exchanges that the average person uses to acquire cryptocurrency. And from what I can tell, that seems to be their tactic, to take out local Monero.co sellers, to take out local Bitcoin sellers, to just take these little people out across the board, so that if someone wants cryptocurrency, they have to go through Coinbase or Gemini or Kraken, and the U.S. government ultimately has the authority to say, no, we don't want that person to be able to buy cryptocurrency. And Coinbase will go, okay, we won't let them buy cryptocurrency then, locking them out of the evolving world. So that's what I think their long-term goal is to, just continue their fascist approach to everything, which is control the companies that the people require in order to subsist. And they want to create the circumstances where Coinbase, Gemini, Kraken, and all these others are the companies that we require in order to access or use or acquire cryptocurrency.
So do you think that leads to a more grassroots effort, which is what it should be anyway, more peer-to-peer, right? So I mean, governments can regulate the on-ramps and the off-ramps, but it's going to be really hard for them to stop the peer-to-peer transactions with things like atomic swaps, which I'm sure you're aware of, being invented. It's going to be almost impossible to stop somebody that wants to use Bitcoin or Monero. So do you think we're going to move in that direction?
I hope so, but it raises the fundamental issue of how does a person who doesn't have cryptocurrency acquire cryptocurrency? And I mean, the best way is if you own a business to start accepting cryptocurrency, or if you're an employee to start asking your employer to pay you in cryptocurrency. And this is becoming more and more common as we're going forward. But ultimately, the average person, if they want to acquire cryptocurrency, they're going to go online and type it into Google, and they're going to end up at Coinbase or Kraken or somewhere. And that's just it. They're not going to end up on a decentralized exchange in order to acquire it. But these methods hopefully will always exist, the decentralized methods of distributing and sharing cryptocurrency, because they can't stop it. I mean, if you have 50% of the United States businesses accepting cryptocurrency and paying their employees in cryptocurrency, then Coinbase and Kraken and all these others, they become irrelevant in the first place. So that I think that's the best tactic that we have, is getting businesses to accept cryptocurrency and getting them to pay their employees in cryptocurrency. I think that's the best way of defending against the federal government strategy.
I think we see things different than probably the way 99% of the U.S. population is currently seeing things. Right now, everybody knows crypto, right? They know Dogecoin. They've seen it on Saturday Night Live. They know Elon Musk. But do you think the mainstream population is going to eventually or start to get to the point where they really understand the power of crypto, and that the power is in their hands? If they want to use Monero peer-to-peer, they can, and they can't be stopped? Do you think they start to wake up to that, or are they going to be misled by mainstream media and perhaps the federal government that has their own agenda that's going to say, crypto's bad, it's used for nefarious things, terrorists can use it? Do you think they're going to win with that argument, or is liberty going to prevail and mainstream is going to adopt the truth behind crypto?
Sure. Well, I think ultimately liberty will prevail, and at least in regard to the latter part of it. I mean, the Department of Justice, the EPI, all of these agencies have come out and said, hey, yeah, the number of illicit transactions on these cryptocurrency networks is actually pretty low. Most of them are completely legal transactions that are being made. So that's a weak argument. The media loves taking stories like that and running with them, but as Bitcoin becomes more popular, people are getting into it as an investment, which is the wrong approach. Most people aren't interested in the ideological reasons for having cryptocurrency. Right. But as long as we're out there making those arguments and getting
will people ever start to care about the ideological reasons behind it?
Not until they realize that the issues that the USD actually creates and the issues that bank actually creates, not until they realize how deep and pervasive those issues really are. I suspect the inflation that we've seen over the last year or so, with something like 20 to 30% of the total USD being printed within the last year, I think the increase in prices as a result of that, people will start to realize, oh, hey, yeah, I shouldn't let the government control my money, because we're going to end up just like Venezuela or Zimbabwe. So I'm hoping to see positive results for cryptocurrency as a result of the insane government spending over the last year. And as that progresses, just more and more adoption. What I like to say is, yes, Bitcoin is up, but Bitcoin isn't up nearly as much as the USD is down. Mm-hmm. And that's because they just keep printing it. And I think those will be the reasons that cause people to get into cryptocurrency. Not the privacy, not being able to control their own keys, but to just protect themselves against insane government spending.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm hoping they wake up to the privacy aspects too. I feel like people are a little bit, even with their use of mainstream social media, they're realizing, when they saw Trump getting deplatformed, I think that was a wake-up call for people. So maybe they'll start to understand decentralized tech and the power of, and the fact that it can create censorship-resistant networks.
I wish that more people had paid attention to Donald Trump being deplatformed, because that was amazing. I mean, it was terrifying, but it was amazing as well. you had YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and all of these other mega corporations conspiring to deplatform the current president of the United States, to take away his ability to reach the American people. And they did this almost overnight without any consequences whatsoever.
Right.
They can do it to any of us. If they can do it to the president,
Right.
they can do it to anyone.
And the thing is, the president's still he could still create his own platform. But if you're just regular Joe and you get shut off, you don't have anything. You don't have a platform anymore.
So decentralization like Library, Mastodon, can't think of any of the Matrix, all of these decentralized social media alternatives are out there. We have many of them at freetalklive.com. We have our own Matrix server, our own, what's the other one? I just said it. I don't recall.
Okay.
It's a Twitter clone, but we have...
I'm forgetting the names.
Yeah, I can't think of it right now, but there are decentralized platforms out there. There's Odyssey now, which is an alternative to Twitch streaming, and...
Is it Mastodon? Or what? No, that's...
no, it is Mastodon.
Okay.
Wait, is it Mastodon? There are so many of them, it gets hard to keep track.
Yeah.
I think Mastodon is the Matrix server. I don't remember now, but either way, I mean, these alternatives exist. All you had to do is look up, decentralized alternatives to Twitter or alternative to Discord. And these things exist, and I think people should be on them because you can't be shut down that way.
Yeah. Parler was one, but then ended up not being as decentralized as people thought.
Yeah, it also had Nazis on there and wasn't as free speech as they professed to be. And they also, I think, made a series of stupid security decisions allowing geographic evidence to be uploaded with photos and stuff like that.
Right,
So
right.
ideally, you would want to get away from a centralized platform like Parler and into something that's actually decentralized.
Awesome. Well, thank you for your time. Greatly appreciate
having
this. All right.
It's good talking with you.
So where can people follow you, learn more about you, find your talk show, which you guys have been doing for years? I know are you guys associated with the Free State Project? And just go into that a little bit, where people can learn more about you and your projects.
freetalklive.com is the best place to go. That's the radio show that I do, and that's where most of my energy is being directed toward. I have other websites like fpolice.com, that's EFFpolice.com, and of course there's the reformsatanicchurch.com, and just a bunch of different websites, but the main one people would go to would be freetalklive.com. As far as the Free State Project affiliations, no. I was a little upset that they introduced me as being a Free State mover when that's not really the case. I just ended up here, and I guess the Free State Project is ultimately the reason, but I'm not actually affiliated with them and don't really have any desire to be.
Okay.
So... kind of a sore point there.
We'll make that clear here.
They kicked us out for 1 year, so
Okay.
I'm not going to get too buddy-buddy with them when they're like, hey, yeah, we don't want you here anymore.
Well, that sounds antithetical to what they are, but I guess we won't even get into that.
Well, they're a lot more open now than they were. I mean, the Porcupine Freedom Festival, or Porcfest, is just sort of this thing that happens down here now. They used to have the entire campground reserved, where you had to have your wristband to even come into the gate. You had to reserve your camping site or your motel room through Porcfest or the Free State Project. So this change occurred last year or the year before. I don't exactly remember when, but it's certainly freer and open now. I mean, they used to have pork rangers driving around searching people's vehicles and stuff. So
Really?
yeah, just like 3 or 4 years ago, they were looking for Chris Cantwell, who wasn't here, but someone had said on the radio to screw with them that he was here, and the next thing you know, they're out searching people's vehicles and looking in trunks and stuff. So they were definitely out of control, but they have scaled back a lot, and because of that, this is the biggest pork fest in history. So it was
I've experienced nothing but liberty here, I gotta say. I'm having the time of my life.
Yeah, I agree. This year and last year are both just remarkably free and open years. No one has even asked me to show them a wristband. I don't have a wristband.
Yeah.
I just came down.
Yeah.
I just came down here. No one said a thing.
We did pay though. We just never got one. We were too busy.
I didn't even pay. I mean, I just wandered down. But I was also speaking here. So what are they going to say? Hey, no, you can't be down here. Okay, fine. I'll just go do it at my site. So, but that wasn't the case 2 or 3 years ago.
All right. Well, it sounds like we came at the right time.
You did. Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Nice meeting you, and hope to see you around some more.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll be around. I'm here until July the 4th.
Awesome.
Yep. Thanks so much.
Yep. All right. That was awesome, man.